I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. New trends he's gonna write up. We watch the city light up. I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. New trends he's gonna write up.
Hey everybody, welcome. It's Michael McDade on the first episode of Mic'd Up. It is March 5th, and today is the very first episode. So what this is a convenience store podcast that we're going to talk about some of the more interesting things around the convenience store. We're just going to have a lot of fun with it. We're not going to get too analytical, and this is purely for entertainment's sake. Today with me, I have a very special guest. His name is Ryan Dias. He's been in the industry for 20 years. He's an absolute legend, one of my good friends. And Ryan, thank you so much for being here. How you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. It's an honor to be the first guest on Mic'd Up.
Okay. Ryan, this is a bit weird for us, right? Because we're buddies, and I asked you to be my first guest because it was probably the easiest person to get to say yes to me. But also because Ryan has a really, really good story, which we're going to get into at the end of the episode. It gave me the idea to ask retailers for, or whoever my guest may be, for what is their craziest convenience store story. So stay tuned. Make sure you stick around for that. That's going to come at the end. And Ryan's story is the best of all time. It'll be, we'll see if anyone could ever top it. But Ryan is the, what would you say your title is?
I'm the Director of Merchandising.
The Director of Merchandising at BFS. They have how many locations, Ryan?
We have 69 convenience store locations and about probably close to 250 retail locations when you include all of our branded food concepts.
Okay. So, Ryan, BFS is a little unique because of that you mentioned and some other outside operations that you guys do. Can you let our listeners know a little bit more about that?
Sure. BFS, we are based in Morgantown, West Virginia. We have stores in West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Maryland, and Ohio. We are our company started in the small town of Brewston Mills, West Virginia. Our owner, Marshall Bishop, bought an agricultural store there probably close to 40 years ago. Then over time got into petroleum and convenience stores and food. And so, now we've grown to, like I said, we have 69 convenience stores, a number of different branded food concepts, and that's our strategy. So we've got Dairy Queens, Burger Kings, Tim Hortons, Subways, Little Caesars, a bunch of different branded food concepts and restaurants, a couple of IHOPs and Huddle Houses. So we're very diverse.
Any of those in the same location where you have more than one?
Yes, actually, we have a number of stores where it's almost kind of set up like a travel center. So we have the convenience store with
like
two to three, kind of like a food court, 2 to 3 food concepts with a nice seating area.
Cool. So I also noticed, and something that I kind of want to talk about is things that separate BFS, and obviously that food court concept is a bit unique, but also you guys' liquor business and spirit business.
Yeah, so like I said before, we're pretty diverse and really not scared to try new things. And we got into the liquor business, and that really makes us unique in West Virginia when you look at some of our bigger competitors, namely Sheetz. So we've got 8 liquor stores inside of our convenience stores in West Virginia. So that's really a point of difference for us and gives people another reason to shop us versus the competition.
Well, if there's anything I know you're good at, it's a pro at liquor, and that's from a few night outs with you.
Yeah, and if you're going to be good at something, you have to make sure you're experienced.
So, question: when a rep comes in to visit you from one of these companies, do they come in? Do you sample the product?
Well, There are times that we've set those up, but every year there's a liquor show in West Virginia where you do get an opportunity to sample. So
I got to go to that.
The liquor, you have to be a guest of mine.
Okay, I'm in.
But everything is purchased through the state. It's a state-run business, so we are not only a liquor retailer, we're also a liquor wholesaler. So we sell liquor to anybody off the street that comes in and shops our stores, but we have a wholesale business, so we sell to bars and restaurants. So it's a big focus of ours this year is to grow that piece of the business, particularly the wholesale piece. So we've actually added somebody to kind of head that up for us now. But yeah, it definitely makes us unique in that area. There aren't a lot. There's some other convenience stores that have liquor licenses, but I think we're kind of, especially in Morgantown, we kind of own it.
So I didn't even know that this existed, this wholesaler piece of the liquor business, with any convenience retailer. So that's a shocker to me. So you guys actually have someone inside BFS selling, like actively going out and selling?
Yeah, we made the commitment this year to really grow that piece of our business, and so we hired somebody on a liquor category manager, and she's primarily focused on selling to bars. So she's gone out and getting bar and restaurant business, and bars and restaurants have to buy from all of their liquor from anybody that has a liquor license. They cannot buy it directly from the state, but they can buy it anybody that has a liquor license.
So that's super interesting. Like I mentioned, I had no clue that side of the business even existed, but bars are essentially looking for. Are there a number of wholesalers in Morgantown still? Is it any?
Yeah, so there's only so many liquor licenses available. There's a bidding process that comes about, I believe it's every 10 years. So, and there's different category of licenses. So there's A licenses and B licenses, which we have both. Some without getting into the specifics, a B license, you can carry all the same things in a convenience store along with liquor. An A license, you're essentially just a liquor store. So,
gotcha.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, when a rep comes in to sell to you guys, say from Jack Daniels, do you meet with the Jack Daniels rep?
We do. I mean, we meet with a lot of brokers.
Yeah,
so,
they're brokers for.
Yeah, there are. So,
wow. Okay, need to get into that.
But they're all responsible for certain brands, and we're trying more now. Now that we have another person on board that's really primarily focused on the liquor category, but we're working closely with those to try and do other things to grow our business. And in some cases, West Virginia doesn't necessarily get allocated all of the premium. Let's call it premium. Bourbon's a good example. So there's only so much available to the state of West Virginia. So when it comes out to us as a retailer, it's difficult to get. And so, it's a different business that I've grown to learn over the last few years. But we work closely with them to figure out new creative ways to grow the business.
Back to this broker side of it, all right? Because I'm super intrigued. But do these brokers help you sell to the bars and restaurants as well?
Well, they will. They work with the bars and also with us. So
right.
They're trying to get distribution for their brand. So
right.
They kind of work probably bars first and then back to us. And,
okay.
So we're carrying. ABC Bar is doing a special drink for this month. You have to carry this certain brand of rum, and so yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Right. So you get to see the side of the wholesale. That's really, really interesting. Now, you mentioned bourbon. That happens to be my go-to
and my passion as well.
Your passion as well, and this is why we're good drinking buddies. Tell me more about your bourbon selection.
Yeah, so we have a pretty wide selection of bourbon. Again, as I said earlier, it's some of the brands are allocated, and so one of the things we're doing is we're partnering up with Buffalo Trace Distillery. Buffalo Trace is probably a pretty well known brand of bourbon. Easy to get in maybe other states, but in the state of West Virginia, sometimes it can be tough. So we're actually partnering with them, going down to the distillery. We're going to pick our blend of bourbon, our unique blend of Buffalo Trace, and we're going to do a barrel program with them. And essentially, it'll be a Buffalo Trace bottle in our stores with some kind of BFS name on there. Whether it's BFS, we haven't named it yet, but kind of a cool thing that you don't typically see in the C-store world. And yeah, there's all kinds of fun things to do with the liquor business.
And when are you going to Buffalo Trace?
Within the next 2 months. So
that's in Kentucky.
That is, yes.
Okay, just want to see.
Might have to mix a trip into a Nashville trip potentially in there. So.
Yeah, hey, well, you know me. You know I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But obviously over these next 2 months, my schedule's packed, right? And it's packed with, guess what? Trade shows. So,
yes.
Which is a good segue into something else I wanted to start asking you about. Looking at my schedule, and Ryan and I were talking, for those listening, we were talking earlier about just how much these trade shows tie me down, and how busy I am over the next couple of months. Every year, March and April, it's really just like circling the wagons. Like, we go on tour, me and all the other vendors, and we see each other in every different city, but it's nonstop, just going up, setting up, tearing down, running each show, and we're kind of questioning from a vendor's perspective the value of it, and there's different things that make it more valuable than just the ROI you actually get from the show itself. Maybe some of the networking opportunities and stuff at them, but from a retailer's perspective, I would love to hear more about what you think is the most valuable from the show, and maybe just your overall perspective of it.
Yeah, I think it depends on what show you're talking about. So I think if you talk about the local, maybe wholesaler shows,
yes,
which probably keeps you very busy. Those are, I wouldn't say, the biggest thing I got out of those shows is probably the networking, an opportunity to catch up with people in the industry, talk about maybe what's new in their world. They're usually set up as buying shows. So I think for maybe a single store operator, it might be beneficial, or, a chain of maybe a few stores. But for me, I mean, we do a lot of that buying up front, and maybe in a different way, kind of have our year planned out. With other shows, or I shouldn't say shows, other programs, wholesaler setup programs. So a lot of that stuff's done for me. I go because I feel like I need to show, support, and I know there's probably a lot of vendors out there that are coming because some of the bigger chains are coming to the show. So, yeah, I want to show support. And look, sometimes I get a few things out of that. There's some really good deals, but generally, the biggest thing I got out of is the networking.
Right. Have you ever ordered something for every store from the show and just absolutely made someone's day that you didn't expect to order from the show?
I always find something. I mean, I don't go there with a plan to buy something, but I've done that. That's happened. Yeah. Sure.
I'll never forget the one time I had a former vendor we represented. We had Turkey Hill, 250 stores.
I'm familiar.
Order a $500 display, and they ordered No, I'm sorry. It was $1,000 display. It was a bigger version of it, and they ordered 2 for every store.
Wow.
So it was a $500,000 order from a trade show. So obviously the ROI was
that
there.
a record.
We wanted to just go straight to the casino and start pounding drinks after that one. It's a show's over because it wasn't going to get any better than that. But I do think overall, it's tough when you're selling something smaller than that as a vendor, when you have maybe an item that cost a retailer $1, right? And okay, it's a 12 count, so it's $12. They want to give you a show allowance, right? So now we're talking, if it's 10%, it's, we're down to $10.80. And then, they paid probably anywhere from, I know we have some shows this year. My most expensive one is $14,000. It's more expensive than NACS.
Yeah.
Which is absurd. But, it's tough for people to make their money back on that. It's really tough for new vendors who don't have much business at all to take that risk.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because there's so many of these shows that they have to kind of pick and choose, right?
And I think that's kind of what makes NACS so great. Is a lot of these new vendors, they're not going to spend the money on the small regional shows. They're spending their money to get to NACS, and from a really looking at innovation and new products and what's new in the industry, you're not going to see that at these local expos, buying shows. That's at NACS, and so when you talk about like which show is the most valuable for me, it's definitely NACS. I mean, they even have the new exhibitor areas now, which I find the most. I mean, I can tell you just this past year, I probably have 3 or 4 items, big items that I've got just from that new exhibitor area.
Right, which is all 10 by 10 booths, right?
Right.
And I think now NACS is somewhat towards capacity, so it's actually hard to even get into those, right? And I think you have to spend a couple of years in that section before you can graduate. And I could be totally wrong. So if NACS is listening, I'm sorry. If I'm right, then you're welcome.
I think we've said enough good things about them that they're probably not going to be.
We love your show. We're always in attendance, and of course, it is the show. I would welcome regional NACS shows in the spring, and to combine some of these regional shows that from our distributors who seem to all want to have their own. One idea I had that was probably just step away from a trade show aspect is actually more of an app. All right. And this would be super expensive for any distributor to do on their own unless they licensed it from someone else. To build it on their own, I don't think would make a lot of sense. But why doesn't a distributor have an app that shows new items? I guess some of them might have something like that, right? An online portal or something. But if they had it organized a little bit better, and this is going to sound funny, but like Tinder. Okay. And I've never had Tinder, but plenty of my friends have. And we've played on it. I just jump on their thing and swipe whichever direction's yes. I don't remember which one. I think swipe right. Swipe right. Okay. I just got confirmation from my single videographer. He's good looking, ladies.
I can't confirm that.
But where they categorize items that they carry, and you can swipe right if you're interested in it, swipe left if you're not. So maybe you look up beef jerky, and I don't know if we do it where that would extend outside of. I think it should probably extend outside of. So maybe it's not something for the distributors themselves, but so you could see everybody from that industry, from that category, right? So if it was jerky, that's just an easy one for me to think of right now, and you wanted to see all the different jerky companies and get their story, get their items. I don't know if we could include pricing on it or not, but where you swipe right if you like it, swipe left if you're not interested. But when you swipe right, the vendor themselves would get a notification and to reach out to you, to schedule a call, an appointment, even just request more
I
information.
think that would be a beneficial tool for everyone.
Did we-
Me as a retailer, definitely. I mean, that's something I would check. I mean, I don't know frequently or they would update it, but
It'd have to be daily.
yeah, I mean, I would if it was, I'd be on it daily.
Right. The vendors would have to, to manage
Right.
their own profiles.
And as a distributor, I mean, it's valuable. You can really, you're not. I get you. They can't carry everything, right? So, but for them to be able to see, okay, here's what's getting the most interest,
Right.
that would be beneficial for them as well. Yeah, I mean, that would be surprised. It's better put a patent on that.
yeah, copyrighted McDaden.
Yeah, right.
McDaden Associates, February or March 5th, rather. If anyone takes that idea, just pay me on it, and I'm okay with that because it's probably too expensive, and I'll never do it myself. but yeah, I mean, I think that'd be cool. Back to the trade show topic themselves, the regional shows. What could they do, Ryan, to maybe make it a little bit of a better experience for a retailer?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things they might be able to do is to get, and I've been to a few recently that have kind of dabbled in this, but maybe getting some guest speakers or do some kind of educational seminars to talk about what's new in the industry, what's trending. I think that's something that would give me personally, which I've got a lot of my buying done and my shipper buying done for the year, give me a reason to come to these. And but yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've been to any like that or if you've seen any like that, but I think that would kind of give just another reason to attend. And yeah, so
I think people are branching that direction, but people haven't gone all in on. They're trying to make them more fun, right? And you see the events that they run for us afterwards. Last year, EB, we were at where were we at? The Hall. Oh, was it the
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
The Rock and Roll Hall of
which is-
Fame.
Yeah,
That was fun,
right.
and that's what it's that's how it should be. And honestly, the networking you get from that is just as good, if not better, than the show. And that they and we're talking about EB Brown guys because that's Ryan's wholesaler. But they also did that cooking little cooking show
Yeah.
that they did where they had.
I think it was more for entertainment value, but
it was more entertainment value, wasn't it? I do agree. I would love to see a more seminar based morning for people and really talk about state of the industry topics and
right. And then you could even do some for maybe a single store operator or chain.
yeah.
Have different seminars for different
Right.
different customers. So to talk about what's happening even in operations or
Right.
the even like for a chain, maybe what's happening in maintenance and repairs, and then for maybe a single store operator, just seeing maybe product, what's happening with new products for this year, or so I think if you tailor it to different segments, then maybe it would be a little more beneficial too.
Some different options.
Yeah.
Right. Obviously the hot topic is food service, and they're going to get into a lot of that often. And, maybe to neglect other things because that's such a buzz category right now and where a lot of the growth is. But, even I think just some advice and consultation, things not relevant to the show. Mm-hmm. What I don't see a lot of at the show is actually like people who come in and help you renovate your store, parking lots.
Mm-hmm.
You don't really see much of that, do you?
No.
Or the security system. You don't see a lot of the tech side at the trade shows, and that's a bit puzzling to me.
Yeah, it's surprising that you don't see more of that. I think you probably see some insurance agencies, and that's about it. But I think that would be beneficial. I mean, you again, probably more for a small chain, but
just help connect people. It gets away from maybe the distributor would have to, they might be trying to make some sort of partnership or alliance with these people because it's more of a direct service type thing. But But I don't know. I don't see why not offer people the opportunity to just pay to be present at your show and then part ways after it.
Right.
And then when it comes to innovation, I don't see why not have a innovation section, a new item section or new vendor section where maybe these people don't pay so much.
Right.
To give that opportunity to get things in front of you guys that might be something of interest.
Sure.
And somehow they, because obviously they're not going to bring items in if only 3 retailers ordered something. So there has to be some sort of baseline for when they walk away if it's something that's going to be carried. But I'd be really interested in if I saw a distributor do something along those lines. Wouldn't that be nice for you?
Oh, it would. It definitely would. Yeah.
Kind of a way to solve some of those things that we get from NACS, to get locally and make the expo itself a little bit better. Because for the vendors, really, we just want good attendance, and that's why we appreciate when the chains show up, even if you guys are just walking around having a good time. Mm-hmm. But you were right earlier when you mentioned that that everyone wants to see you guys there, and that's maybe why some vendors actually invest in going to the show in general, is just for the opportunity to possibly meet Ryan Dias and the celebrity, the myth, the myth, the legend, Ryan Dias. But I do think that would be something to dress those events up a bit. Ultimately,
I always like the cool new products area at NACS as well.
Right.
So even if you had something that on a smaller scale at some of the local regional shows.
Right. I mean, you see like Hackney does 4 shows. Evie's now doing 3.
And a lot are strictly food service shows.
Right.
So.
Right. McLean does 1. But Cormark does 1 for each division pretty much. There's some that share. And obviously I do a lot of business with Cormark, so that's what drags me around quite a bit. And then you have all the independents that do business together. I actually have this week, and I leave tomorrow for it, is Southeast Petro. And that's something that, at some point you should try to attend yourself. But it's a really good regional show. Really good. Mm-hmm. And the cost is right. It's cheap for a vendor. They have a waiting list for vendors to.
Wow. Yeah.
but it's huge. It's a huge expo, and I wish we just had more like that. There's no new Northeast show. There's not. You have Impact in kind of the Central or East Central. You have Southeast Petro. Northeast is vacant.
Yeah, you get some pretty big retailers up this
Monster
way,
retailers and a shitload of people.
Yeah.
There's
another idea for you. You can start the Northeast show.
Oh man, my ideas are starting to cost me a lot of money, but maybe I can make money off a trade show by just charging vendors. You're right. But Ryan, we're getting to the time here where I think we should wrap this up because I don't want to take up too much of people's times, and I want everyone to be able to listen to this on their commutes to and from work. But I told everyone you have an epic story. A legendary story that's going to be the best one that they've ever heard.
I don't know if it'll be the best, but I'll tell you, when you ask me for the craziest story in my career, there was a clear-cut story.
Right.
And it took me back to I want to say I was probably 6 or 7 years into working at Giant Eagle Get-Go. And one morning in the office, we got a call from one of our stores, and we were all a little bit puzzled, and everybody was a little bit kind of shaken up. But the story goes, one day somebody walked into one of our stores with something wrapped in a paper towel. And so, as you know, we're growing in food service like anybody trying to do that. We have microwaves in our stores. Customer asked one of our people if they could heat up this item for them. So, I'm sure our employee at that time thought it was something edible. So when they did that, they said yes. We'll take care of that for you. when they did it, there was an odor of urine that was coming throughout the store. So immediately, our employee took that out of the microwave and looked at it, and to what she thought was a severed penis.
Oh my God! Can you imagine? Can you imagine her reaction at this point?
Yeah. So, and those were probably back in the the Bobbitt days, where they, that actually, I forget the name of the, was it Lorraine Bobbitt, John Bobbitt?
Oh man, you're showing your age here.
But yeah, so that was a long time ago. But anyway, obviously, immediately our person calls the police.
Yeah.
Obviously called our corporate office as well, and
because there was a severed penis in the microwave.
Penis in the microwave.
Well, where's the suspect of severed penis?
Well, they were arrested, so I'm assuming they didn't leave the store. But what they ended up figuring out, though, that it wasn't. It was a prosthetic used for to pass drug tests. So fake urine and a fake.
So this was probably pretty lifelike.
Yes,
right. I imagine the perp. God, this is too funny. Yeah, so it's probably pretty lifelike because it's got to pass, right? He's going to take this drug test, and obviously it's one that someone is standing near. Yeah. Right? Because it's not like, hey, shut the door, because you can just do that with any sort of drug test thing. But it's one that someone's going to watch.
Yeah.
I wonder how impressive the severed.
They never got into details other than, they needed that, obviously the urine inside to be at body temperature so they could pass their drug test.
Right. So, and then it probably needed to hold so much urine to fill up a cup, right?
Yes.
That it was going to have
needless
some size
to say,
to it.
that was a story that we were all kind of shell-shocked by that. And when it hit local news, it was big. When it hit national news, which it did, it was big. Yeah. And I think the next day or the day after, I heard it on the Howard Stern show. So it was. So when you talk about the craziest story, and I've heard a bunch, believe me, in my 19 years, but that one was certainly the craziest. So we always refer to it back to as the Whizzinator story.
The Whizzinator.
Yeah.
Is that what it's actually called, or did you guys make that up?
I remember that being, I don't know if it was the brand of prosthetic or what, but I remember that's what we always called it, was the Whizzinator story. So.
Well, there you have it. That is...
So top that, future guests.
Yes. If you have a story, a convenience store story that tops that, you have to write to me, because we want to have you on the show. And so we can share it with everybody, because as of right now, this is the best one. It's the only one, but I think it's going to be tough to beat. Ryan, thank you so much for being here. This was awesome. I can't wait to share it with everybody. Hopefully people find it funny, they laugh, find it interesting enough that they come back for more. But you're the man, and I really appreciate it.
Well, thanks for having me. Hopefully I'll be back in the future for another episode of Mic'd Up.
Love it. See you guys.
I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. New trends he's gonna write up. We watch the city light up. I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. I'm with Mike and he's mic'd up. New trends he's gonna write up.